I'm a photographer from Brighton. I have a brother who's bipolar, and the project that has been exhibited in the Brighton Photo Fringe this year is a collaboration between myself and my brother Michael. My brother is 2 years younger than me and has always suffered with bipolar. The idea of the project is to show the effect of mental illness on him as a person suffering it and the effect it has on him in relation to society. The presentation of this project is done through a black box. In order to view the photographs, you need to take a torch and go and find the photographs. You then actually, in between the photographs, there is black space, and this is meant to symbolise or be a metaphor for how it is for my brother living with the condition. Sometimes the light is on, sometimes it's off. We both went to the same school, and he was 2 years younger than me, and I was never really aware there was a problem, but I was aware that he was a lot more sensitive than I was probably, and I always felt there was a sense that I was always having to look after him or going to rescue him out of fights or whatever. We grew up in Weybridge, where a lot of the film stars gravitated to at that time, and he was very often taken for Roger Daltrey because he had long curly hair down to his waist, and he was very often stopped in the street and asked for an autograph. I used to get phone calls in the middle of the night from the police station. He very often got arrested by the police and picked up for suspected drug abuse because his behaviour sometimes was not what was seen to be normal behaviour. So I found myself in random police stations, visiting him in random cells, and being quite horrified how he'd been treated. There seemed to be no real help around, and I personally knew nothing about mental illness at all and was still wondering whether he was on drugs, because everybody was saying he's taking drugs, and I didn't know. That made perfectly logical sense for his behaviour. Doctors didn't really want to talk about it. So everything was really pushed under the carpet, and all the time Michael was continually let to go through these episodes. And to be honest, it's surprising he's still alive. I was relieved when I got the news that he was mentally ill opposed to, or had a diagnosis, shall we say, because at that point I felt he would get some good care and would be looked after. I have done this photography project with my brother, and we've had immense fun doing it together. And we felt that actually through something that's been a tragedy, we feel that maybe we can help people to consider their view on mental illness. And I think people are a lot more open now than they were 50 years ago to talking about it. And the more people that do talk about it, and the more that it is out there as a normal topic, because society is very eclectic, and it's full of a huge mix of different kinds of people. We're not all perfect, and thank God for that. Here we have a series of pictures, and basically just describes the struggle, everyday struggle of what it's like to get up when you have a mental illness. You have nothing, as you see it, to get up for, and you're so drugged by the medication that on top of it is a nightmare. Then we go on to this picture over here, which is basically a picture of my brother having been sectioned. The picture depicts with the curtain across the separation of not wanting to accept where he is, being pillared against the wall, barricaded against people coming in, and the general chaotic scene that goes along with being institutionalised. I think the picture really is a very comprehensive account of what it's like to be in an institution, vulnerable, alone, and locked up. The third picture here is a picture of Michael basically divided between the good side and the bad side, and somewhere in between he's trying to find this perfect balance, this perfect equilibrium, to find this perfect peace. In the video he talks about it's like being on a razor's edge, a fine divide between staying absolutely on kilter. Very often it just doesn't work, But in between that, there's this face of this person who's lost, really, but still struggling. And up here, there's a picture of him wrapped in a jacket that he wears a lot. It's his favourite jacket. But it's almost like his comfort blanket as well. And it's keeping the world out, locked out, because they've locked him out. And there's a hand showing he wants people to take him on board, to accept him for what he is, but increasingly it becomes more and more difficult. And sometimes it's just too much. He said, "Do you know, I am so fed up of you making me look miserable," which I thought was very, very funny. I said, no, just sit in the jacket and just wait a minute. But we've had a good laugh about it as well, and I hope photographs have actually given some people insight into, someone who's just on the edge of society, really, wanting to be involved in it, passionate about it, but not being accepted by it. It is a way that he and I have found to actually share something creative with a way of actually putting it out there, and hopefully people or someone might get some insight, or some, be it a bipolar sufferer or indeed someone who doesn't suffer from bipolar. We felt it could work either way, really. Because we live in this world of social media now, I think being able to talk to other people who have siblings with bipolar is immensely useful. And the charity Rethink Mental Illness, I think, is doing a fantastic job in actually bringing those people together. It's giving them a forum, and you may identify with one thing I've said, and you may listen to someone else and identify another. So from that point of view, you begin to think, well, actually, you're not alone in this. And actually, if you connect with people in your area, you might find it a very helpful and useful thing to do, not only for you, but also for your sibling.